The leaden skies, that hang perpetually over Aberdeenshire, in late summer seemed even lower than usual on the morning the king's physicians stepped out of the private apartments at Balmoral. Rain clung to the castle's granite turrets, mist pressed against the windows like an anxious spectator. Inside those walls, clocks continued their ancient rhythm and peat fires hissed in the grates, yet everyone who served, visited, or simply passed through the grand halls sensed that the atmosphere, so often described by visitors as charged with history, had just shifted into something far heavier. What the doctors delivered to His Majesty was not a standard briefing on progress or stabilization. It was the kind of verdict that rewrites every calendar, every assumption, every tight-lipped plan made in gilded offices. The most recent treatment, they acknowledged, had not had the effect for which they and the king had hoped. Where cautious optimism once allowed them to talk in months, a colder, sharper vocabulary, one of weeks, or a season at most entered the room. That same afternoon, a convoy of discreet, mud-splashed Range Rovers slipped through the rear gates of Balmoral, conveying two sons whose relationship, volatile at the best of times, was about to be tested in the crucible of paternal finality. Prince William flew in from Windsor after a morning of engagements related to homelessness initiatives. Prince Harry was whisked from RAF Northolt Towers after landing from Los Angeles on what aides would describe merely as the family visit. Both men arrived with a single private secretary, no photographers, and notably without their wives. This was to be an audience of blood relatives. The king, exhausted but lucid, had summoned them not simply to break the grim medical news, but to deliver instructions shaped by decades of watching the institution rise, stumble, and right itself again. Princess Anne, the family's undisputed fixer, had already spoken with him at length, acting as both confidant and sounding board. Now, in the library panelled with cairngorm pine, she formed a silent sentinel beside her brother as he unfolded the last, urgent chapter of his reign. He spoke first of the crown's enduring creed, duty, constancy, sacrifice, and then of its modern vulnerabilities, relentless social media glare, tumbling faith in public institutions, the slow erosion of empathy between rulers and ruled. He told his sons plainly that they must choose unity over pride, effectiveness over sentiment. Catherine, he insisted, must be styled Queen Consort the minute the Archbishop's prayers fade at his state funeral, not months later, at a leisurely coronation. William must assume, instantly, both the headship of state and the executive stewardship of the royal foundation to signal a seamless, functioning monarchy. Anne, most startling of all, Lady Louise Windsor, the discreet, academically minded daughter of the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, must be elevated now to a new senior role before public goodwill calcified into suspicion. She embodied, he believed, the unshowy, dutiful future Britons increasingly crave. Harry listened in silence, jaw clenched, until his father turned to him with a softer, almost apologetic gaze. The Duke of Sussex, Charles said, would be welcomed back into ceremonial ranks, not as a working royal drawing the civil list, but as a valued kinsman integral to the symbolism of continuity. There would be no restoration of full military patronages, yet there would be no glass wall of exclusion at national events. Prince, he told his younger son, is not a rank you resign, it is a gift you guard. When the brothers emerged from that meeting, staff described them as ashen but composed. Later, a lone bagpiper, at sunset played a lament seldom heard outside royal funerals, its echo rolling over the heathered hills long after the last note faded. News of the monarch's precarious condition did not leak immediately, but another set of plans, meticulously drafted, frequently updated, began to rumble into motion. Known internally as Operation Menai Bridge, the blueprint for King Charles's eventual passing mirrors the procedures executed for Queen Elizabeth II, London Bridge, yet introduces personal touches. Sustainable reeds woven from Highgrove wildflowers, a coffin crafted of local oak certified by the Duchy of Cornwall's woodland scheme, and a request that military bands incorporate one Welsh hymn, one Caribbean spiritual, and one South Asian melody to reflect the modern Commonwealth. Central to those plans is the role carved out for the Sussex family. Insiders confirm that, at the King's insistence, Harry will walk directly beside William in the London cortege, an echo of their shoulder-to-shoulder vigil behind Diana's coffin, in 1997, this time framed as reconciliation rather than tragedy. Meghan, now Duchess once more in the order of precedence, will be invited to the lying-in state at Westminster Hall, her children accorded a viewing slot shielded from press lenses. Sources say Charles wants Archie and Lilibet to feel unquestionably part of the story their grandfather embodied, even if their day-to-day lives unfold an ocean away. Such inclusiveness is not mere sentiment. Courtiers argue it serves a hard strategic purpose. Photographs of a united family mute calls for republicanism more effectively than a dozen policy speeches. Charles, ever the pragmatist beneath his idealism, knows that the House of Windsor's survival has always depended on emotional optics. The wedding balcony kiss, the war zone walkabout, the Christmas broadcast delivered in relatable tones. A fractured front at his funeral would be a gift to critics. A reconciled tableau could reset the narrative for a generation. Yet the King's vision extends beyond choreography of farewells. With mortality looming, he has accelerated a series of structural tweaks designed to future-proof the monarchy. Lean but wider, while he supports his mother's concept of a slimmed-down core, Charles now believes that a slightly broader pool of mid-ranking royals, deployed flexibly, will prevent William and Catherine from burning out. Hence Lady Louise's mooted promotion, and exploratory discussions with Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie about targeted public service portfolios. Commonwealth anchoring. The King wants William to undertake an immediate, hearts and minds, tour of Canada, Australia, and the Caribbean realms within 6 months of his accession, accompanied by Catherine for maximum soft power resonance, an itinerary originally penciled for 2028, now fast-tracked. Digital transparency. Plans are underway for a palace-run streaming platform, working title, Crown Connect, which would air unedited footage of investitures, garden parties, and behind-the-scenes restoration projects, aimed at countering Netflix docudrama distortions with real-time openness. Green Burial Revolution. Charles has requested his own interment at Frogmore Gardens utilize a biodegradable woolen casket and treeroot memorial stone rather than lead-lined oak and marble ledger. While still subject to ecclesiastical approval, the move would set a precedent for eco-royal burials, both symbolic and cost-controlled. The revelation that Catherine will be proclaimed Queen Consort immediately, and not sometime after a period of reflection, as earlier floated, has galvanized constitutional scholars. Under the Treason Act of 1844, calling a queen by any title less than her due after her husband's death can be construed as an offense, but modern practice has occasionally allowed for softer styling. Charles wishes to eliminate ambiguity. Within hours of the accession council, official stationery will read, Catherine R. A cipher already drafted by Garter King of Arms featuring the intertwined letter, C crowned and flanked by oak leaves, emblematic of strength and continuity. As for Harry, courtiers quietly craft a bespoke status. He will retain the prefix Her Royal Highness in legal documents, though not use it commercially. He will be invited to trooping the colour, but ride in a state landau rather than on horseback. He will read a lesson at the next Commonwealth Day service, and he will resume his place as Councillor of State when present in the UK for more than 14 consecutive days, a subtle reinstatement contingent on trust. Whether the Sussexes accept this olive branch remains uncertain. Los Angeles sources hint that Meghan would welcome a thaw, provided press intrusion is managed on her terms and no one expects a full-time return to Frogmore. For now, their staff monitor UK developments while keeping brand deals, and the Archwell Foundation, running at home. The British public, fed daily bulletins by tabloids and broadsheets alike, oscillates between sorrow for the ailing monarch and fascination with the chessboard of succession. Polls show that a majority back William assuming the throne swiftly if his father's health collapses. A similar majority believe Harry should be allowed to play some ceremonial role, for the sake of family unity. Social media sentiment. once ferociously partisan, softens at the thought of an aging father seeking peace with both sons before the last great journey, as one commentator phrased it. Meanwhile, inside Balmoral's candlelit chapel, Charles attends evening prayer. The lesson is Ecclesiastes, to everything there is a season. He kneels, aware that his own season may be shortening, but resolved that the next must start not in rancor, but in reconciliation. Whether his intricate blueprint can truly bind up old wounds is a question only time, and the willing hearts of his heirs, will answer. But in the Highlands, where mist envelopes granite and whiskey catches the last glint of dusk, the king has spoken his final wish, a monarchy slimmer yet kinder, traditional yet transparent, united in public grief and poised, at last, to move forward without leaving anyone behind.